States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Welcome, everybody. We will dive right in here. First item is public comment. I was wondering if there's anybody who has any public comment this evening that would like to share with us. Yep. Step to the podium and state your name, please.
Dave Nielsen.
Okay. All right.
I have something prepared for you guys this evening. I'm going to try to hasten it a little bit. I'm just going to read off my notes. I have something prepared. So, good evening, Mayor Birdsell and the members of the council. My name is Dave Nielsen, and I'm here tonight to represent youth sports in our community. I'm also joined tonight by Justin Hesnard, the president of our Hampton Recreational Baseball League. Like myself, Justin is one of our community's strongest advocates for youth sports, and he is also here this evening in support of our players, families, and volunteers. I'm here tonight to share concerns regarding our public baseball playing fields. I appreciate the opportunity to speak about the condition of the demolished parking space between Progress Park and the tennis courts, in addition to the infield, as well as the baseball diamonds and fencing at West Park. Together, these facilities serve as the primary home for our youngest local youth baseball programs. First and foremost, these facilities are used primarily by our recreational baseball league and outside travel organizations. These are Hampton, Dumont, and Cal kids who practice and play here week after week throughout the season. For many of them, this is their first and in some cases their only exposure to organized sports. These fields are where they learn teamwork, discipline, and confidence. When parking is limited or unsafe, or when fencing and field conditions are deteriorating, it can directly impact a family's ability to participate in and enjoy these programs. During the last summer season, the parking at Progress Park was deemed poor and limited due to the conditions that were caused by snow removal processes the winter prior. Parents, grandparents, and volunteers rely on safe, accessible parking at Progress Park to support practices and games. Congested or poorly maintained parking creates safety concerns, especially for younger children crossing traffic areas while carrying equipment. For games and practices to run safely and smoothly, it's critical that we have a level playing surface at Progress Park and West Park. Uneven fields create safety risks and make it difficult for players, especially younger athletes, to perform at their best. The fencing and field conditions at West Park are not just cosmetic issues. They affect player safety, game flow, and overall experience for both participants and spectators. The fences are simply falling over, and the playing surfaces should simply not consist of gravel. Ensuring that the fields are properly maintained will allow our local kids and visiting teams to have a safe and enjoyable experience. Lastly, the batting cages at Progress Park and Babe Ruth Field. What were once valuable training resources for our youth have now deteriorated to the point where they resemble little more than steel skeletons. These cages have the potential to be a tremendous asset, not only for player development, but also as a shared space that can be used by multiple age groups and programs, including school-related practices and games. Revitalizing the batting cages would give kids a safe, structured place to practice fundamental skills and would significantly enhance the overall functionality of our parks. In addition to serving local recreational league, I'm also here today serving as representation of the Rockhounds Travel Baseball Organization. Our boys are currently entering their second season as 9U baseball players. We are planning to host a travel baseball tournament on June 21st that will be played on multiple fields in Hampton. The Rockhounds Rumble, as we call it, is expected to bring 8 teams consisted of 9 and 10-year-olds to Hampton, along with their families, friends, and friends of friends. That means visitors potentially staying in local hotels, eating at local restaurants, shopping at businesses, and spending time in our community parks. Based on similar youth travel events, an event of this size will typically bring an estimated $15,000 to $25,000 and local economic activity for just a one-day tournament. Events like this also provide an opportunity to showcase Hampton as a welcoming, well-maintained city that values youth activities and community engagement. Hampton alone currently has 3 organized travel baseball programs at different age levels and 1 organized travel softball program. I cannot directly speak to the other programs currently in operation, but just think, with the right facilities in place, imagine the impact of hosting additional events like more one-day tournaments or even 2-day tournaments multiple times per year, further benefiting our community. The condition of our parking and field infrastructure plays a significant role in whether we can successfully host events like this and whether teams will want to return in the future. Well-maintained parks send a clear message that the city and its community supports youth programs and recognizes the positive impact they have on both families and the local economy. I want to be clear, I'm not here to point out problems, but to advocate for partnership. Our league, both the recreational and the travel, and its affiliates are supported by parents, volunteers, coaches, and many other members of this community who invest countless hours to make these programs successful. I'm certain most of you can relate to this. When I was young, everyone played baseball. Recreational participation was the norm. Today, participation looks much different, in part because many parks and rec departments have been reduced or underfunded over the years, particularly in small towns. Statistics will show you that in 2018, total youth baseball and softball participation in Iowa was just over 50%. By 2025, that number has grown nearly 65%. During that same time period, youth travel baseball and softball participation has grown by 60% itself. It's evident that most of the total participation growth since that time has come from travel, softball, and baseball participation. That shift has increased year-round demand on our parks, making field quality, parking, supporting facilities more critical than ever. These numbers show a clear and sustained demand for youth sports like baseball and softball. At the end of the day, kids want to play sports, but not everyone can or should have to choose travel programs. We need to be able to offer quality opportunities at both levels. As youth sports continue to grow year after year, we are asking the city to help by prioritizing improvements to the parking area near Progress Park and to help support a level and safe playing field. That consists of addressing the fencing and field conditions at West Park and considering revitalization of those batting cages at both Progress Park and West Park. These facilities then can safely and effectively support both current participation and future growth. Just remember, investing in these spaces is an investment in our kids, our families, and a growing part of youth sports and community. With continued support, Hampton can ensure its parks keep pace with the growing demand for youth sports and remain a source of pride for years to come. As a next step, we respectfully ask the council to assess and consider including these improvements in upcoming discussions or planning efforts so we can work toward a practical solution. Mayor Bertzel and the members of the council, thank you for your time this evening and for your support of youth programs and parks in our community.
All right. Thank you for bringing that into end tonight. And no, you're fine. We will definitely take a look at this, and it is a important part of our community. So we will definitely make some time for that. All right, thank you. Anybody else? Public comment this evening? All right, we will move on to our next item. Review the draft ordinance on regulations for keeping chickens. Mr. Dunt run through the draft ordinance that we have come up with. This is a result of our lists, our multiple lists that we've done, and we kind of tried to put them down into one and had the attorney look at them. So we'll go take a look at this and see what you guys think. Mr. Dunt.
Thank you. So this is a draft that would amend definition for chicken in section 55.01. Chicken would mean a member of the subspecies Gallus domesticus, a domesticated fowl. Section 2, Code Amendment, City Code of City of Hampton, being hereby amended by deleting section 55.05 in full and replacing the language as follows. livestock. With the exception of chickens, it is unlawful for a person to keep livestock within the city of Hampton or within the city except by written consent of the council or except in compliance with the city's zoning regulations. Section 3 Code Amendment. The City Code of Hampton, Iowa is B, and the same is hereby amended by adding new section 55.17 as follows. Chickens, notwithstanding any provisions in this code to the contrary, chickens may be kept within the city limits only where such keeping is in compliance with the following requirements. Permit required. No person shall raise, harbor, or keep chickens within the city of Hampton without a valid permit obtained under the provisions of this ordinance. The permit fee shall be established by resolution of the city council. Permits shall be valid for a period of 2 years from the date of issuance, and permits are not transferable. Number 2, requirements. The requirements of the receipt of a permit include a written request for a permit shall be made to the Hampton City Council for their approval or denial. An inspection of the property where chickens are proposed to be kept by the code enforcement officer shall be completed. There shall not have been any documented nuisance violations at the property within the 12 months prior to submitting the request for the permit. The property must be a minimum of 2 acres in size. The property must be owner-occupied. Rental properties are not eligible for a permit. The maximum permissible number of chickens is 8 hens. Roosters are not allowed. A chicken coop must be provided. The chicken coop must be standalone structure located in the rear of the yard. No lean-tos can be used as coops. The coop must be located a minimum of 25 feet from any property line and a minimum of 100 feet from the neighboring dwellings. The chicken coop must provide a minimum of 3 square feet of floor space per chicken, be well ventilated, well drained, offer adequate protection against all weather conditions, and ensure access to daily source of fresh water. A chicken run must be provided. The chicken run must be fully enclosed by fencing, providing a minimum of 8 square feet of space per chicken, be well drained, and be designed to prevent entry by other animals. Number 3, ongoing obligations. After a permit has been issued, the following ongoing requirements shall be met. The code enforcement officer shall be allowed to inspect the property upon reasonable notice to the property owner. Chickens shall remain confined to the coop and run. Free-ranging or keeping chickens inside the home is not permitted. The chicken coop must be exclusively for chickens. Eggs must be collected daily. Slaughtering chickens and selling eggs are prohibited. Number 4, revocation of permit. A permit issued under this section shall be revoked upon any violation of the requirements herein. All chickens must then be removed from the property and the permit fee shall not be refunded. Any permit holder who has their permit revoked shall be barred from requesting another permit for 2 years. 5, appeals. No permit may be revoked or not renewed without notice and an opportunity to be heard being given to the applicant or holder of the permit. In any instance where a permit is revoked or not renewed, the applicant or holder of the permit may appeal the decision to the city council within 5 business days of receipt by the applicant or holder of the permit of the notice of the decision. The applicant or holder of the permit will be given an opportunity for a hearing. The decision of the city council shall be deemed final action. Number 6, annexation. If a property is newly annexed into the city limits, the owner or possessor of chickens has 90 days from the date of annexation to bring the property into compliance with these regulations. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. So I'm going to open that up for discussion with the council. Any,
I like it.
Ms. Creepy? All right,
That's my discussion.
I like that.
Under 2, subsection I. No, J. So when we're talking about the chicken run must be fully enclosed by fencing, are we talking sides only or sides and top?
I believe, and everybody correct me if I'm wrong, that a run is open air, but enclosed around the perimeter. So it can be attached to the coop, and the run can come out, but it's got to be fenced so that they're confined.
Yeah, some cities I've seen have required there to be
Right.
fencing over the
Right.
top as well of the run.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to
Yep.
add that.
All right. Mr. Holmstrom?
I would request under Section 2, on the definition of 55.05 livestock, that we strike part of the sentence, the part that says, except by written consent of the council, so that it would read, with the exception of chickens, it is unlawful for a person to keep livestock within the city in compliance with the city's zoning regulations. I think if we leave that portion of that sentence with the exception, it sets the council up for decisions of this matter, such as to a possible implication of preferential treatment or favoritism. This exception, the way it's written, kind of put us in the situation we are now. We had guidelines through our zoning board and board of adjustment to handle a situation like this, but because that exception was in there, it was brought to the council, and we're at where we are now. I think our yes and no should be yes and no. The exceptions, if we have them in there, why have a board of zoning or a board of adjustment if we're going to make exceptions and override their decisions? We need to follow their guidelines, and so I would request that it be stricken, that portion of that sentence.
And this is with the checks, go with your restriction.
Pardon me?
With exception of chickens, is that the part? Give me the part that you want to.
Well, in this particular case, we're talking about chickens, but in this statement, it's talking about livestock. I'm suggesting you just strike through the words except by written consent of the council or accept, and just go strictly, it is unlawful for a person to keep livestock within the city in compliance with the city's zoning regulations.
Okay. Make a,
I think the only zoning regulation
Yeah.
that mentions chickens is R1, isn't it, Doug? So it's not addressed in any of the other
Yeah.
zones. You agree with that, Bill? Did you look that up?
Yeah, it is stated in R1, where they specifically said no raising or pasturing of livestock, poultry, or other commercial domestic animals or birds. And then it goes on to talk about the Board of Adjustment's decision in the case of hobby livestock, where they can make an exception, where we would recommend going to the Board of Adjustment to make that decision and not have it come to us specifically to make that exception, that it should go to the Board of Adjustment first before coming to us. And that deals with hobby livestock, the Board of Adjustment.
For the initial request for chickens, you want it to go to Board of Adjustment instead of the council?
I don't think there should be an exception for the council. I think if we have an exception, then we're overriding the boards that we've established. We've established a Board of Zoning, we've established a Board of Adjustment. So why would we make an exception for us? If we do that, why have these boards?
I have a question.
Yep.
Like, if the board turned that down, does the council then often serve as an appeal process for that
Not
person?
to the Board of Adjustment.
Okay. I just
That's
wondering how
final.
that worked. Okay.
I'm just afraid that using an exception like that, we could face some possible questioning by the citizens, whether we're favoring one group over another, or we're making an exception, not based on facts or anything, but possibly preferential treatment for somebody. I think that takes that completely off of our shoulders. We're not favoring anybody with these requests. We're just following the guidelines from the zoning boards.
well, I think if we remove the written consent of the council, which is us, I mean, that's where we determine if somebody can have chickens. Then that takes down to the requirements, you know, there's a request and permit made to the city council for approval and denial. Is the Board of Adjustment going to make that determination?
No, I
They
think,
can, whether they can or cannot or have chickens?
no, I believe that the council would still make the decision whether to issue the permit or not, but when we're looking at that permit application, we're saying, have we followed the guidelines from the different boards, the zoning board or the adjustment board? If as long as they follow those stipulations and those guidance that we have from the zoning boards, then we would approve it. And if they didn't follow those guidelines, we would disapprove it. It would still be the council's decision to approve or disapprove, but
Right.
we would look
Right.
at the stipulations placed before us.
So we determined that the zoning regulations are not going to, there's, R1 is the only one, and I mean, I don't know that that's gonna be it. If that's, I don't know, what does everybody think? Yeah,
I think I understand what Bill's saying.
okay,
So we're saying livestock, with the exception of chickens. It's unlawful for a person to keep livestock. We're not talking chickens now, with the exception of chickens. To be kept livestock within the city limits unless by written consent of the council. So, okay, with the exception of chickens, I now want a cow. So I'm gonna go to the city council and get permission to have a cow. Am I making sense, Bill? Is that kind of what, if we take that out, livestock, with the exception of chickens, unlawful for a person to keep livestock within the city, period. Take out without consent of the city council. Otherwise, you're gonna have people coming and asking for a cow, a horse, a pig, and
yep,
so on
yep,
and so forth.
yep.
Am I making sense, Bill? Is that kind of where you're going?
Well, it kind of is.
That's what I got too, sure.
You know, I mean, it's going to be the same for everybody, whether it's chickens or not. It's going to be the same for everything. In this particular case, we've already written the exception in there, and these are the guidelines that they follow. I don't want us to keep getting in the same position that we're in today because of an
Right.
exception. When the rules were already made, it never should have came to us except for that part of that sentence in the original ordinance that we have. If we didn't have that exception in there, we would not be in the position that we're in today, arguing about chickens or no chickens. We could have said, what does our zone say? What does our Board of Adjustment say? That's what we're going to follow. As soon as that word exception came in, we were approached, and we were rightfully so approached because the opportunity was there. I want to take away that gray line of this exception and get us in this position. I mean, if it was up to me, I'd go through all our ordinance, and if anytime I saw an exception, I'd say, scratch it.
Yeah. I think this
You
came
get-
up
you get
early
yourself in trouble.
in the conversations, clear way back when we started this whole chicken thing. I mean, we talked about taking that out and saying, no, unlawful to have person to keep livestock in the city limits, period.
Yes.
That wasn't acceptable. We needed to do that. We need the exception. So now we want to take out the exception, but we want to put in with the exception of the chickens. So where are we drawing the line here? I mean, the Board of Adjustment, to me, they're not going to make the decision whether or not you can have chickens or not. We're going to make that decision.
No, actually, the Board of Adjustment would have. If we didn't have that exception in there, we could have said, go to the Board of Adjustment. They have a thing in there about hobby livestock, which I think this would qualify, raising the chickens as a hobby chicken farm, or whatever you call it. And the Board of Adjustment could have made that decision. That's exactly what it says in that thing. Hobby livestock shall be adopt the rules and regulations regarding conditional use hobby I could read the whole thing, but
Right.
it's in the Board of Adjustment. We could have sent it to them and been done with it.
So, so we want to go back to the beginning.
Nope, I just want to
Basically.
scratch that one portion of that one sentence out, so we're not faced with this same problem again.
I understand that, I get it, I do. We've got chickens covered. Other than chickens, it's unlawful to keep livestock within the city limits. Don't come to the city council and ask for a cow. So we can take, except by the written consent of the council, out of there.
Yes, that's all I want scratched out of there.
Yeah.
That's it. Everything else I agree with, but I don't have a problem with anything
So
else.
if we take that out of there, but we still have the requirement is, it has to go to the city council for approval or denial. Where does the,
For chickens.
where's
For the
the,
permit.
for the chickens, yes,
For the permit.
right. So where's the lawn drawing? Why can't the board of adjustment can't make it? Can make the deal, but then it's still gotta come to us for approval. I'm trying to balance that out.
But the Board of Adjustment is setting the guidelines on what rules to follow
Mhm.
for everything else except for the exception of the chickens, which we just did. We just took this out of the Board of Adjustment's hands at this point for the chickens. Okay. But, yeah, anything else, I think we should farm it off where it should go. It shouldn't be
Okay.
before us. But I agree that the council should make the determination on the permit, as long as they're following the guidelines set. We've got the guidelines for the chickens. Let the Board of Adjustment get the guidelines for the rest of it.
All right. Anybody else? I mean, these are the council's guidelines, so I mean, I have an opinion, but either way, I mean, I'm fine with either way. As long as we've got it covered, we know, yes, you have to make a written request for chickens. It's just gonna be down the road. Instead of coming right to the council, it's gonna go through the board of adjustment. Is there? So how
I'm in favor of taking out except by written consent of the council,
Mhm.
because I do think that opens us up for other livestock.
Oh, yeah.
They're
Yeah,
gonna
that-
come and
that
ask
was-
for that.
Yeah, we've
We've already got chickens
discussed
covered
all
with the
that.
exception of chickens.
Yeah,
Oh.
yep.
Well, we already have someone that has sheep by written consent.
So how is this gonna go to the Board of Adjustment for their approval, or we don't need approval? Because it's already in there. Is that what we're saying?
We've got chickens covered by this new ordinance.
Right,
I don't want to uncover anything else.
right.
I want to send everything else to Board of Adjustments. And after this, if somebody wants a permit
So-
for chickens, we'll take out this
I'm
ordinance.
I'm just not trying to be difficult, but, so if somebody wants chickens, how do they know they need to go to the Board of Adjustment instead of the city council? Just throwing it out there.
I don't think they would, because the ordinance.
They would still have to come to the city council
Right,
Permit, yeah.
For the permit.
for the permit.
right.
They come to the council, not the Board of Adjustment. But any other animal,
So even
other
the-
than a
even-
chicken,
Right.
a horse or whatever,
Just making sure
would
we got
have to go
everything
to-
covered.
Board of Adjustment. Is that your intent, Bill? That's what you're thinking?
Pretty much, yeah, I mean, we've got the chickens covered. I don't want to,
Yeah.
I don't want to have the council in this predicament again. I mean,
You're,
blame
you
me
and
for
me,
bring-
you and me both.
Blame me for bringing it to the council, the
Yeah.
predicament we're in, but I don't want to see it come back again.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So if the Van Werts wanted to keep their sheep for the summer, you know, at that little, on the way out to the hospital, they would need to go to the Board of Adjustment to ask for that permission. And they wouldn't have to come to city council.
Would they go to the Board of Adjustment? I think that was my question, is how would they know they would need to go to the Board of Adjustment to see if they can keep their
They would,
chickens, or their sheep?
anybody, them or anybody with a request of anything, any livestock other than chicken,
Mhm.
would start with Doug as the zoning administrator
Okay.
at City Hall. He would review what property are they wishing to have it on, what's it zoned at, he'll look at what's allowable uses in that zone. And then if if it's R1 or something and it mentions that they can get maybe a conditional use from the Board of Adjustment, then that's the avenue that they would follow. If it's silent in there, it's not allowed, right, Doug?
But again, if they pass Doug's checking that out, it would go to the Board of Adjustment and they would give the permission, or not.
I'd have to read each zone, like what zone are they in, and I have to read the allowable uses, and see. Because in a lot of the zones, the zoning districts in the code, there's specific uses that can be considered as a conditional use. And if it's not listed as a potential permitted conditional use, let's say, then I'm not sure that we could allow that, because it doesn't say that it's a potential conditional use.
Because I think on the sheep, the council granted that exception or allowed that in the past. I just want to make sure if that's still an option for them. I don't want to eliminate that.
Well, I think by doing what Bill is suggesting, it would eliminate that. Do you disagree, Bill?
Jim, I don't know the circumstances, and I don't know if it would or not, if they'd be grandfathered in or what. I don't know what you would decide.
I just don't want to eliminate something that has been granted in the past, especially for their business that they do.
I wouldn't either, Jim. I would think that would be grandfathered in personally. We're talking a new ordinance, new rules.
Well, I just want to make sure of that.
Yeah, that's, I would think. I would think you're right. I think they'd be grandfathered in.
Maybe I can shed some light. I think
Mr. Carr.
historically, Jim Meyer is the one that has the old Rich Meyer property with Van Wert sheep. They got a conditional use permit. I don't believe there's a sunset necessarily on that, Jim, to where he does that every year, and we don't really have a problem with it.
Okay. I just want to, like I
yeah.
said, I guess, if we're changing things and we're
Right.
talking about it, I just want to make sure that we're not eliminating other
No.
situations.
Right, and then Brian Hansen was the other one that's been approved over the years, and that was, he had a number of acres that were, part of it was inside the city limits, part of it was out, so then he was permitted some of those fancy cows that he had. So
Yeah, and.
those are the only two I'm aware of.
Yeah, and he no longer does his, do they still have sheep there? I don't know.
Well, they
Yeah.
usually keep them there in the summer.
Yep, keep the
But they have
grass
quite a
down.
business.
But if a new property owner were to come in that hadn't had a prior request, now
Right.
if we change this, they would not be allowed to have a request other than going through the zoning avenue.
Right, yep,
And, which they may hit a dead end quickly, but
they might.
that's okay. I mean, just, it is what it is.
Right, but I don't think it would deter anybody that's already been given a conditional use permit.
I agree with that.
Right.
But if the ownership of that property were Van Wert's, it would.
Right, if the ownership
That's-
changed, yep, then it would, then
It
it would,
is gonna change.
right.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
So
Yep.
that's what I'm concerned about.
His son's buying it,
Oh, Myers
yeah.
are selling
Yeah.
that? Okay, I guess I wasn't,
son.
okay. Yeah, I don't know then. We might have to ask
That's what I'd
Megan.
like
We
to
could
find
look
out.
into it.
if
Yeah,
it
we'll
would
have to
go-
talk to
if
Megan.
That would go down to the Board of Adjustment level, and they can approve that, I don't have a problem with it. But if that would eliminate that option, I do have a problem with eliminating that statement at this time,
Right.
until we find out.
So,
Yep,
Right.
I think that
Agree.
we have 55.05 at livestock, then we go to 55.17 chickens. I think that's what separates them. I don't think we need to change anything.
But 55.5 says, with the exception of chickens, it's unlawful for a person to keep livestock within the city except by written consent to the council.
Right.
So if they want to have sheep, they'll have to come to the council and get permission. If they want a cow, they have to come to the council and get permission. Do we want to deal with all that? Look how much time chickens has taken.
Exactly.
Well, we haven't had other than chickens, we haven't really had any situation that we've had to deal with.
No, just the
Right.
the cattle and the sheep, those are the only two incidents in the 21 years I've been here.
Right.
And I thought, wasn't it said at a previous council meeting that the sheep had been grandfathered in? So it was something that's kind of a done deal already, and
Right,
We're
right.
not gonna
but now-
change
But
that?
if Jim
But I want-
sells it to his son, is that a change of
Yeah,
ownership,
that's-
and how
that's
does
my-
how
that's
does
my
that play
concern.
in?
okay.
If you change the ownership, we just got done saying, then it wouldn't be possible. But I want to make sure that we're not
Right.
eliminating other situations through a chicken ordinance.
The only thing I wonder, and I don't know size of farms or anything, or sheep farming, I know nothing about farming. But when they say hobby livestock, would, the property we're talking about with the number of sheep that he has, I've seen the number of sheep he has, and it's probably less than a dozen.
Right.
I've walked past that thing for 26 years. I don't think I've ever seen more than a dozen sheep. Is that a hobby livestock? If that's hobby livestock, that's covered under the Board of Adjustment. So, I mean, as long as
Their sheep
it,
business is
business.
quite an extensive business, so I don't think I don't know, but I wouldn't call, maybe keeping 12 sheep there might be considered hobby, but the business that they do is not considered a hobby.
yeah, I have no idea.
Again, those are questions we're not going to answer tonight. I think I'd like them to find out.
Okay.
Okay, let's learn more.
Yeah, so we need to look into that piece of it. I mean, the rest of it, I'm fine with the rest of it, whatever you guys want to put in place. If you strike that phrase, that's fine too. As long as we've got the written request back down here, we're good to go. But if we want to check into the rest of the other stuff,
I think we should strike, number 3, item E, selling eggs. I think, if you get 8 eggs a day over a month, you can't eat that many eggs. So if they wanted to sell them at the farmer's market, why not let them?
well, that came up in our discussions too.
And I thought that's what we agreed to.
And then I thought we were gonna take out the selling of eggs, but then we put it back in there, so you guys tell me. I mean, what do you guys
I'd
wanna
like
do?
to see them have the option, other than, I suppose they just give them away, but
Right. Families and friends, I mean,
I agree with Barry. I don't see a problem selling.
no,
We're not talking about a full-fledged egg production
No.
facility with 8 chickens. And then what are you gonna do with the eggs?
yep,
well, 8 eggs
Yeah.
a day for 30 days, can't eat that many.
I would agree with you on that, just eliminate that and selling eggs.
Excuse me, Councilman. Last I checked, I thought, to your point, Jerry, last time was commercial cells, like Fairway.
Right.
Right, that's what.
right, we covered all that
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, I just wasn't sure if, like, what you
Yeah.
guys were mentioning about the cells, if that means all sales altogether, cause I do not have, sorry, I don't have the goodness in my heart to be giving away eggs, sorry. But I
No.
certainly am not gonna turn around and sell them at Fairway or Quick Store, something like that. I
Or like
might
at a
sell them to
farmer's
a
market.
coworker
Farmer's
or,
market,
or
you don't need a
friend.
permit,
That would-
yeah.
Okay, yeah,
Stuff
then I
like
only need a
that.
permit for commercial license for, yeah. Okay,
Yep.
I just wanted to make sure that I understood what no selling eggs meant.
Yep,
Well, to me, no selling eggs means no selling eggs
Right,
at all.
right.
Yes, you can clarify it if you want, or you can, just whatever you're all comfortable with.
I don't really think we need to clarify anything. I agree with Barry. I don't understand why they couldn't sell it at the farmer's market, because they don't need a permit for that, or sell it to neighbors and friends. I understand that, but I think the concern was that we brought it up last time. There was a concern, well, then, it's not just a hobby, they're running a business.
right,
And being you don't need a permit or anything like that, it's really not a business, it's
Right.
still a hobby.
right. So, where are we? 5505, we want to exclude the statement of except by written consent of the council. Everybody's okay with that? We will need to
What's that?
update that. Are you still talking about the
5505
except, yes,
said, go ahead and take that out?
right.
No, I
Okay.
just got done saying, no, I'm against that.
You're not okay, but this is, over here, they want to take it out,
Well,
so
I thought
let's
we
get
were
it.
gonna do some research on that and get back to us.
I thought that
before
was the Board
making-
of Judgment for the sheep.
Which is under that section.
Right.
Yeah, we were going to clarify the
Okay.
sheep
We
situation
needed clarification
before we
before
take
we
that out.
decided that decision. I thought that's
All right.
where we were going
Okay.
with it.
That's good. That works for me. And taking out the selling of chicken, selling of eggs are prohibited. Yeah, can't do it. Exclude that. That's the only things I've heard that we want to change and look into, correct?
So far, Jennifer's like that, maybe she has someone like,
I know.
I know, I struggle with this because I want you guys to be heard, but public comment has already been said, and we're discussing this as the council to try to get this thing done. So, I'm gonna give you a few minutes and go ahead and give us what we got.
Fine.
We'll go from there.
So I guess item number 2D, the property must be a minimum of 2 acres in size. We're talking about less than 10 people probably in the city limits of Hampton that are going to possibly have the opportunity to have chickens. So I agree. This is a lot of time talking about chickens. I wish we could just keep it simple.
Yep.
And if you have in here a code enforcement officer shall inspect the property or prior to give approval, I think if there's something simple of asking for the permit, getting the code enforcement officer to come out, look at the property, where are you going to put it, what are you going to do? I think some of the stuff could be eliminated to simplify it. I like to keep things simple. Another thing with that, if the property is minimum of 2 acres or more, most likely those properties surrounding my property and our neighbor's property are farm ground. Okay, so I've said this before, I don't understand why we have to do 25 feet from a property line when it is a hayfield. I am surrounded by no other neighbors directly, and most of the people in city limits of 2 acres or more is not going to be directly next to somebody. That's my comment on that. The chicken coop must be a minimum of 3 acres or 3 square feet of floor space per chicken. I spoke last time on this. Don't know if I was heard or not. I know we're doing a lot of looking on the internet, and I have as well, but I will say right now, we do not have that. I have 8 chickens, and I am getting 8 eggs a day. They're happy. I don't see why we need to have specified in here 3 square feet of floor space per chicken. So those are my points I want to make, and I'll be done. Minimum of 2 acres in size, okay? We're dealing with we're 10 people or less probably, and we're surrounded by farm grounds, hayfields. This isn't in city limits. If we were dealing with in city limits, if I was a neighbor to Jerry, absolutely, I would agree, lay it out. This is very few people we're dealing with.
Right,
So
right.
that's my comment.
Right.
I am going to sneak out here in a bit, not right now because I have another church meeting to go to, but that's my feedback.
Okay, let me give you,
Yep.
let me get back to there.
Yep.
I think the 2 acres or less, or 2 acres or more, kind of came up in the conversation quite a bit.
Yeah.
So what we're looking at is, we're looking at regulations for everybody. I understand that we've only got so many properties around the edge set of town that are gonna qualify for that. But if we make okay, yeah, but But you guys can go ahead because there's ag there, but these guys, they don't have that. So we're kind of trying to all encompassing and making a regulation, so we don't have to do this every time somebody requires it.
Well, I think that's where it comes from, trust for your code enforcement officer to do his job. I mean, if he were to show up and see my chicken coop and I've got one, where it's not sufficient, absolutely, he has the right to say no.
Mhm.
But I feel my chicken coop is sufficient for the chickens that I have. I would gladly bring Doug to my house and show him our chicken coop that we have. Does it fit this 3 feet? No. So then you know what? We're out. We've spent all this time and we're out.
Right.
Unless if we add on to our chicken coop, and I'm probably not going to do that. So I am sorry for wasting your time if
That's
this
fine.
doesn't get considered.
All right.
So, anyway.
Okay.
That's what I've got.
Thank you.
For what it's worth, I actually really like this the way it is. Simple.
I thought it was pretty good.
That's really good.
So we will look into the sheep situation and the 5505, and we will come back. So this will not be on the.
I'm sorry,
agenda
I've got one more
probably on
comment.
Thursday.
And I don't want to bring other names into this, but so if you look at the sheep thing, sheep are a lot bigger animal than what a chicken is, okay? So you got to be thinking about how much space and how much property. They're down there by the soccer fields. We're dealing with chickens here, okay? They take very little space, a lot different than to a chicken. And I don't want to bring anybody else's name into it, but we got to keep things simple, you guys.
I know, that's kind of what we've been saying since the beginning of this thing.
Jim
And here we
Jim
are.
nailed it on the first
So,
meeting, on the first meeting.
I mean, we got
Right,
dogs
doing
in
an
here, we
exception,
got
it's an
sheep in here
exception.
now. I mean, it's simple and simple.
I know, but it hasn't been, and I
I know it.
apologize for
I know
that.
it. I agree with you. All right. So we know where we need to go with that.
Yeah, we'll look into the sheep, and check into the zoning districts and
Yep.
just kind of give you an update.
Okay. All right. Moving on. Fiscal year 25-27 budget considerations. Mr. Dunn,
I-
I'll give that to you.
I don't have much. I thought this would be an opportunity, if anybody has any questions that have come up since our last budget workshop, if you want to ask about it, that's appropriate. I do want to point out that I'm recommending that we cancel next Monday's scheduled budget workshop on the 26th and reschedule that for Monday, February 2nd. We're still gathering information, putting it together for our next more in-depth discussion on the budget proposal. And so February 2nd would be the next budget workshop. That's all right with
All right,
everybody?
everybody okay with that? Everybody good over here?
Okay.
All right, good. We're good there. Any other discussion on the budget at this point I know Ron's feverishly working on the budget. He's
And
trying to.
I
Go ahead.
think, I'm sorry, Mayor, I don't
No,
mean to
go ahead.
interrupt, but
Go ahead.
since it's on the agenda, budget considerations, I'm going to bring up, typically, when someone makes public comment, if it's on a matter that's not on the agenda, we can't make comments and talk about it. But we can in this instance, because those matters are being included in a budget proposal. So I think it's good that we talk about it.
Okay.
You mentioned the parking issue and the damage done by the snow piles and things like that. That is something we're proposing to remedy in the next budget, which starts on July 1. And the West Park Diamonds, we had an incident with, I think, a plow going off and damaging fence, but there already were some fence issues. So we're going to address that in the spring as soon as we have the ability to. And then we'll also, I'll talk to Doug about other matters. Yeah.
Real quick question. You said it would be part of your July 1?
Yeah, that's when the budget starts. Go ahead, Don.
No, I thought what we do is just go in there, make a saw cut, get rid of that old asphalt, and at least get some nice gravel in there and roll that in tight this year until we can maybe either get asphalt or a chip seal back on place to make that repair. So I'm gonna get it parkable, it just might be gravel. Yep. And then I'll use that for the sub base for whatever we decide to do
Yeah.
after July.
Right. Mhm.
Yeah, so you will,
Our baseball season starts May,
okay.
so I don't know the timing of that.
Yeah, we can knock that out. I don't think it'd be couple days.
Okay.
Trust them.
Yeah.
Okay,
All
I
right.
think that's a great first step. from
Yeah.
our
Yep.
perspective. So
Yeah.
obviously, we're asking for a couple other considerations as well.
Sure. Yeah, there's some of that other stuff will be, handed in the budget, but we understand the time constraints with that as well, so Doug's willing to work with it, so. All right.
okay. Any other questions?
Just on, well, back to the change of meetings, the February 2nd, just FYI, those are that's caucus night. Just
Okay.
FYI.
Okay,
I'm not saying we should
well,
necessarily change, but just.
I mean,
to-
would you want to move it to Tuesday, the 3rd?
I mean, I'm just pointing that out.
Yeah.
I don't know what the rest of the council wants to do.
I mean, I could do Tuesday, the 3rd, but it's up to the council. Flexible.
Probably should move it.
You okay with that? The 3rd, everybody okay with that?
Okay.
Okay.
Plan on February
Let's do
3rd,
that.
Tuesday. Thanks, Jim.
Yep, appreciate that. All right, anything else? Okay, we will get out of here. Thank you, everybody, for your input, and we will be looking to talk some more. Thank you.